Hi, this is Tam Wendell with Bushcraft on Fire, and as promised I'm going to show you how you can make a very simple campfire bread. To begin with, in the house I took a small bowl, put a cup of water in it with a teaspoon of sugar or honey, whatever you choose, and sprinkled the teaspoon of yeast on top of this water. It was warm water, and set it aside. Then when the yeast began to bubble, I poured that into a bigger bowl, whipped up an egg, and then added 2 cups of flour, just whipped it up with my fork, and then added between a half to 3/4 cup more of flour until I came out with a dough, and that would be the dough that's sitting down over here. The ingredients I shared made enough to make this amount of dough, and what I always do is break off a piece, because our children love to make their own campfire bread, and I'll show you what we'll do with this piece later. And this piece here, as you can see, it's soft, it's not gonna stick all over my fingers. And I took a 1-pound coffee can and rubbed the inside with butter. Now, much better than butter is something called ghee. It's spelled G-H-E-E, and I'll have to show you how to make that another time. But if you use ghee, which is a clarified form of butter, you won't get burning inside your container at all. So now you take your lump of dough and put it in your coffee can. Just punch it down so that it goes up against all the edges of your can. And take a piece of foil, put it over top, and we're going to nestle this by the fire, not in the coals at all, just by the fire until our dough has risen so we can begin to bake it. You can feel the fire is very warm. I don't want it to cook yet, I just want the dough to rise. So this will be plenty close to the fire. Alright, the next step is to show you how to build the oven. It's very simple. This is an old coffee can that we've used quite often to make our campfire bread in. And all you do is peel off the label. And this will be the top of the oven. Now in the bottom of the oven, you'll notice we've popped in some holes. That's to allow the air to circulate in the bottom of the oven. And I gathered some rocks. I'll show you here. I just put a couple rocks in the bottom of the oven. Try to get them all about the same size. And the purpose of these rocks is to keep my loaf pan from touching the bottom, because if it was resting on the bottom of your bread would burn. So you can see the air will be able to move between the spaces of the rocks, and then we're going to set the loaf of bread on it when the bread has risen high enough. Okay, we're going to check on the bread dough. Alright, as you can see, the dough is rising, but we need it to crest over the top of the pan. So we'll give it a turn, and we'll come back in a bit and check it all over again. Alright, while the bread is rising, I'm going to show you what we're going to do with this other piece of dough. This is one of our children's favorites. You just take the dough, knead it a bit, just pop a little piece out, and begin to roll. Get the air bubbles out. Alright, now I have a string of bread, and I just take it on a stick. Now, when you're getting a stick to roast your bread or do any kind of cooking on the fire, do make sure that the wood that you use will not be a poisonous wood. The piece we have here happens to be a piece of elm. So here we go, we're going to roll it on. And just squish it in place, and I'll get another piece. Both of my sticks wrapped with dough, and we're just going to roast this over the fire. and you kind of move it back and forth. Don't let it sit in a direct flame. We're trying to build up our coals here for our other campfire bread. So just sort of move it around, turning it. You can see little round spots over here already. You don't want to do this too fast, otherwise what will happen is the outside of your bread will be cooked and the inside will still be raw. So you can see the bread, the rolls kind of form together, and you can even see a little crack in here as the bread's beginning to bake all the way through. And you just keep moving it in gentle motions over the fire. Alright, girls. It's a little bit hot. Now, we take these, we pour jam inside of them, or drizzle honey inside of them, or what you can do is pre-cook your wiener or sausage and then take it off the fire, wrap the bread around your wiener or sausage, and then cook it the same way that we've just done it now, and then you have a ready-made hot dog and bun. What do you think, girls? Yummy? Take a bite back.
Hot.
Hot. So good. What I'm doing right now is spreading out the coals because our bread is ready to go into the oven. So just move these coals aside. Now this is the bottom part of the oven with the rocks in it. And I forgot to mention we kind of kinked in the side here so it will hold the lid better. So I place this into the middle of the coals. And over here, as you can see, our bread is plenty risen. So we're going to slide that right in the center. And I'll take up my lid, and that goes right on top of the bread. I'm banking the coals up. We're going to try to keep as much heat as we can around our stove. And what you'll have to do to keep it hot is to, as it's baking, continuously add little twigs to keep these coals hot. Alright, I'm going to be taking a peek at the bread. It's been in here now for 15 minutes. As you can see, it's pretty dark, so I can take down any flame and just let it continue now with just the coal. And over on the side here is what we call a little ash cake. And I used up the rest of the dough, made a little braided challah there with 2 more flat breads, and they're just baking beside the fire from the heat itself. Okay, we've pulled this out of the fire. You got to move pretty fast because it's pretty hot. Just give it a couple twists. There, it just slides right out. And, ouch. It's hot. There you go. Campfire bread. Now back to the fire. I showed you the little bits of dough that I had on the rock. I'm using the heat of the coal that's still extremely hot, and just quickly bake these up as well. So there you have it. That's 3 different ways of making campfire bread. Alright, bit of fresh butter. And it's ready to test out. Alright, I had a bite. It's very, very good. This is Tam Wendell with BushcraftOnFire, thanking you for your support, for your ratings, and even more so for your comments. We're glad to have you join us, and join us again soon for another episode of Bushcraft on Fire.